So I think retailers need both, but it needs to be very, very clear and very easy to locate because consumers just don't have the time. When they're looking to buy something, they just don't have the time and the interest in surfing and checking out all the cool things that you offer.
Hey gang, it's Monday, September 20th. Suzy and listeners, welcome to the Behind the Numbers Daily, an eMarketer podcast made possible by VTEX. I'm still Marcus, and today I'm joined by one of our principal analysts who covers everything retail and e-commerce. Her name is Suzy Davidkhanian.
Hey everyone, so happy to be here.
Hey Suzy, how you doing?
Good, how are you, Marcus?
Very good. Tremendous.
Good.
I oversold it. I'm doing okay. Today's fact. There are the same number of public libraries in the US as there are Dunkin' locations. So Dunkin' Donuts, you might know it as, it's been rebranded. You may not have noticed, it's been rebranded as Dunkin'. And there's the same number of public libraries in America as there are Dunkin' locations. Although maybe it sometimes doesn't feel that way. Maybe if libraries were pink and orange, you'd notice more. But the 2017 report by the Institute of the Museum and Library Services shows that there were over 172 million registered library users, representing 55% of the 312 million Americans who lived within a public library service area. On average, each American visited a public library over 4 times a year. That's probably going to be kind of skewed. There's going to be a lot of frequent people and people who are signed up but never went. But still,
I'm amazed that there are that many libraries or that few Dunkin' Donuts.
Right. 3/4 of Americans say they've read a book in the past 12 months. That's from Pew Research 2019. Right, today's real topic. What makes a good retail website or app? So Suzy, Apple just launched a big redesign of its online store, notes Jay Peters of The Verge. The site has a newish look. He says new, I'd say newish look, and a dedicated tab on Apple's top-level navigation with images and links to many of Apple's product lines. The new design feels very mobile first and features a lot of informational product cards that smoothly scroll horizontally. As Mr. Peters puts it, it's a fresh coat of paint for Apple's online store. So, Suzy, got me thinking, just how important is mobile website and app design for online shopping? It seems as though, I'm going to say a decade ago, I may be way off on that, but to me it feels like that. About a decade ago, it's all folks could talk about was mobile optimization, sites being user-friendly, frictionless buying experiences, and now its importance seems to have faded, maybe because the pack caught up with the front runners. I'm not too sure, but we want to talk about ways that some of the kind of best-in-class websites and apps are doing things, and also some of those shopping apps and websites which aren't doing such a great job, some of the bad features, the features to avoid. But we should probably start off by explaining where US adults shop in the first place. CGS said July of this year, looking at ways US adults shop digitally. Number one way was 50% online marketplaces. That'll be Amazon, eBay, places like that. In second place was the retailer's website, so a Target.com, for example, 45%, so just behind the marketplaces. Then way behind that in third with 22% was direct purchase from the brand, Everlane, Reformation. Behind that was retailer's mobile app, 18%, and then social media, 15% behind that. So that's where people shop, apparently.
And everything we always talk about is around convenience, efficiency, friction-free, right? Anytime we talk about retail and brands, this is really what you're looking for, right? How do you make the purchase journey for the consumer, whether they're just browsing or whether they're ready to make a purchase, easier? And so any website that has really good filtering, and if you think about that new Apple website, it is more glossy, but it's also a little bit more user-friendly in terms of you know exactly what you're looking for. Images are easy to follow. You know where you're going and how you're getting there. I didn't actually try to see if I could purchase something, so I don't know if it's that easy to make a purchase, but from a glossy, shiny penny, it looked good.
Well, they made it easier in the sense that, so Jason Ayton of Inc.com noticed that Apple had added a store link at the top. So at top left, it says store and then lists out the different types of products, the iPhone, the iPad, the Mac, etc. It didn't have that before. It said apparently they put it back to the top of the navigation bar. So they used to have it, took it away, and now it's back. So you used to have to click on a product category, say iPhone, at the top, and then get taken to the product page where you could learn about the product and then click buy from within that product page. But that made it feel as though you were always on the product page and the buying experience was kind of secondary, he says. So he said it was kind of always a disconnect from any of the other things you might want to have done, shopping with a specialist, scheduling personal sessions with experts or Genius Bar support. So they've created a store experience within that. So in theory, they've tried to make it easier to shop.
And I think that's the key also here is there is a difference between shopping, so browsing, and you're not really sure if you're going to purchase something, and purchasing, right? So if we're aiming to do websites that are a little bit of everything, then you want some of that curation and some of the like lifestyle images, or for Apple, it's all the other things that you could get from a service perspective if you were in the store. But I'm pretty sure they added that extra navigation bar at the top because if someone is looking to make a purchase, and here is a tip for retailers, right? It's very obvious. You want to have the least amount of clicks possible to get to the cart and convert them to make the purchase. So
yes,
the person who's on the website and is looking to buy an iPhone doesn't want to go through 10 different iterations of filtering before they get to the iPhone 13. They want to just get right to it and make the purchase.
So it seems as though a lot of the sites, so I was looking just at a bunch of websites, just research for this episode, and looking at like the top 40 sites, retail sites, according to this website or that website and apps. And I noticed that across most of the top 40 list I was looking at, they had a very large image on the homepage. And the problem is none of them really stood out, but they all looked really nice. But Tease Tea, a company called Tease Tea, they had a shop blends and then also meet teas with a kind of two buttons that you could select on the front of their huge graphic on the homepage. And it seemed to me that this was kind of a bit of a trend, that actually they're not trying to ram buying stuff down your throat. What they're saying is, hey, welcome to the page, maybe meet the brand, let us introduce you to who the brand is. And if you do want to go and start shopping straight away, click here, but we're more about kind of inviting you into an experience.
Right. And I think that just depends on the brand ethos and who the brand is, right? You're going to see that much more with the luxury brands of like, get a feel for my brand and look at all the people that are wearing them and how they're wearing them and look at this lovely bag and it pairs well with these shoes. And that's very different than if you're going to a grocery store website and you want to buy bananas and milk, right? You don't need to see the curation happening.
Right.
There is a place for both for all brands, right? So for a Walmart, it would be like, there's a section with recipes that then you can just say like, oh, I'm making a Friday night dinner. And so I want to do something a little bit different, or Sunday afternoon brunch. And then you can just click all that stuff to your cart that they give you a recipe. So it's a little bit like the curation you're talking about, not immediately going to buy the bananas and the eggs. So I think retailers need both, but it needs to be very, very clear and very easy to locate, because consumers just don't have the time when they're looking to buy something. They just don't have the time and the interest in surfing and checking out all the cool things that you offer.
That said, you mentioned a few minutes ago something about filtering and about, having clear filtering and being able to get to your products that you want. Although I was thinking about it, I've never walked into a store and thought, all right, where are the black items under $50 in medium? So the color, the size, the price, like I go into a store, what I really want someone to say is, oh, what are you looking for today? And so I imagine that the search bar would have been a lot more prominent.
So I think, again, it depends on the website. And I have had so many conversations in my life around people's shopping behaviors. Do you go to a store and go directly to the brands you love, like a multi-branded store, and just check what they have? Or do you say like, I need to go to a wedding, so I'm just going to go and buy a dress, right? So like retailers typically are branded, like little, brand pads between all the different brands. Online, typically, it's much more around the categories, right? So the way we shop online is not quite the same way as we shop in store. And that is a potential disconnect. I don't know if we could change their behaviors. I think previous to the pandemic, people used online shopping from a retailer website perspective, much more for the actual purchase and use social media and magazines for the like, ooh, what do I want to get next? Or what's cool or who's wearing what?
On that point, the relationship between social media or a company's social media and their website, there was a recent PR Web article noting that nearly a quarter of small retailers do not have a website, according to a recent digital.com survey, for a number of reasons. Maybe they don't have someone to maintain it, to manage it. Maybe they couldn't afford one in the first place. A third of businesses say they've never needed one. And they said 29% of these small retailers, of their customers are not online. And 33% felt that as though social media could support their online needs. Can it? Can social media be enough to allow for them to not have a website? Or is a website table stakes for every retailer at this point?
So I think it depends. I'm not going to give you a good, clear answer because I think it depends on the size. If you're talking about a boutique or like a 3-store store, they can't manage probably to have a website. They can probably manage the logistics of a website because you can use a Shopify, for example, a platform that helps enable, but then they need to account for inventory and they need to do it's a lot of money to have inventory up front to be able to fulfill orders and figure out the shipping and the returns and how does that eat into your margin. So I think there are probably a lot of small boutiques that are one or twosies that probably don't really need a real website and can use a social media account to alert their consumers and maybe email, right? Targeted emails or text messaging to alert their faithful consumers that we have a new product in today, or we're doing a sale, or, look at the new collection that's in. So I think they can use social media to do marketing pushes, but I don't know that they need to be selling on it. That said, the pandemic certainly changes my mind a tiny little bit because all those little boutiques didn't make it if they didn't have a way to sell their items online, right? And so probably there was a much bigger push to using a platform like Shopify. And maybe then they did the like buy online, fulfill in store, and they didn't do the buy online, we'll send it to your house.
You mentioned deals. I noticed that a lot of these sites had deals banners on the homepage, which I quite liked because if you're new to a site, being kind of lured in with a deal can work quite well. However, what I didn't love about some of these sites was the rush to get you to give up your email address, maybe for a discount or something. But it felt like within at least 30 seconds of me arriving, I was being asked for my email, and there was a pop-up that kind of goes full screen and fades out, the actual site that you want to look at. And sometimes it came up immediately within seconds of you loading the site. Another site actually forced you to enter your email in order to even reach the checkout. That seemed abrupt to me, and that they should allow someone to kind of get acquainted with the store for a second before you're trying to grab their email address from them.
So I think those are two different points in the journey. At the very onset that they're asking for the email is obviously a tactic to get more data about you and then to be able to target you. I heard a very long time ago a thought bubble that someone else had that has stuck with me in terms of, I've just landed, you're asking me for my email and you're giving me a 15% discount. So you're already giving me the impression that you're overpriced because you're able to take a discount on whatever merchandise I want to buy. So is that really the right way for me to be introduced to your brand? Never mind how abrupt it is and how weird it seems at times. But at the same time, we know that if consumers aren't incentivized to give their personal information away, like a discount, they're not going to do it. And so there are other websites that offer you different things for giving your personal information. But generally speaking, a discount, like a small discount, is enough to get people to put in their email. I think on the tail end, when it comes to you're about to check out and they want your email, it's more to make sure that you have a seamless delivery experience, I think. And so that if you repurchase from them, you just pop in your email and you don't have to go back through the whole process.
Right. That makes sense. But they wanted it before I even got to, for some reason, that seemed too early. As though maybe I might get to that page, I realized the shipping wasn't going to be fast enough, or something else. Maybe they, they didn't have the kind of payment options I wanted, but they've already got my email address. So I didn't love that. I felt maybe it was a bit too soon in the journey. What are the best in class features spring to mind for you?
I think that digital wallets are critical. Once you ask consumers for their information, you should be following them in a non-creepy way. I mean, we talk about this all the time too, right? In in a responsible way. And you should be servicing coupons in the digital wallet so that I don't have to, and that I can use in the store, by the way, but that I don't have to keep looking for my coupon and that I know what's available. And the smart ones even tell you which coupon is the best offer for whatever purchase you're making. So I think personalization, which is why they're getting your email and information from you, is what makes it best in class after you think about the filtering and the efficiencies and the like buy again buttons and whatever you can do to cut, not the browsing component, but the like, I want to make this purchase and I want to do it as quickly as possible. The other thing I think that's really critical from a personalization perspective, which I have actually not seen many websites do this, is, so this goes into like not working so well yet, but they should get to it. When you've decided you want something, let's say you're looking at a dress, you buy the dress, but then the next time you come back, you're seeing suggestions for that same exact dress, right? And so I think personalization, which we've been talking about this for a very long time as well, needs to move away from the item you've already purchased to either suggesting other things that go with it, so complete your outfit. And there are retailers that are starting to do this, or people who bought this also liked that, but don't show me another dress. I just bought a dress.
Yeah. Getting personalization right is important. There was one site that said, had a section of trending right now. And I was thinking to myself, why do I care that other people are currently buying women's cardigans?
Totally.
That whole section didn't make any sense to me at all. Even if I was a woman, why would that's not what I'm here for. I'm here for the thing that I need. Why do I care what other people are buying? How about things that retailers should be trying to avoid when they're thinking about their websites?
So I think using any customer non-friendly language. So like things like juniors, a lot of department stores use that term, but it doesn't really mean a lot to a consumer. So I think sometimes companies get so entrenched in their vocabulary that they forget about how does the consumer think and navigate. So that's one, I would say. The other one is to use, especially in today's world, to use more inclusive terminology and to, maybe not think about the plus size category, or like in kids, it's called husky, which is kind of like for boys. Yeah, it's not very friendly.
Yeah.
And the other thing, again, these are nothing new necessarily, but so important. The product details on a page, if you're able to get legitimate reviews and people answering questions, critical. I think that sometimes we get very excited about full outfits as retailers. So we put the full outfit, even though you're just selling the jeans. And for some consumers, or like swimsuits, for example, and I know examples of the swimsuit is both the top and the bottom. It's not so inexpensive. So when someone's paying $100, they think they're getting both pieces, but it's actually in fact just one. So some of that is the way that the pictures are, and some of it is the way that the product pages are set up, right? And so I think bad product pages lead to poor conversion.
Before we move on to apps, one thing I did notice on one of the sites I thought was quite cool was from Alo Yoga. They were offering unlimited yoga, fitness, and meditation for only $20 a month, or a month free with any purchase. So this idea of trying to also pull people into subscriptions that you might offer through selling something, which I thought was cool.
And you know what? I bet that's through their app. And so my question to you and to everybody listening is, if you think about your phone, how many apps do you actually have on your phone?
Total or retailer?
Total.
Probably about 60, but like on my home screen that I actually use 20. And of those 20, I probably use 90% of the time.
Right. And so like I, of course, did the same exercise, and I was like, okay, what are the categories? I have a lot in entertainment, especially with streaming and podcast listening. And then I have some games, not a lot because I'm just obsessed with Words with Friends right now. Then there are like messaging apps, there's social media apps. So when you add all of that together, you're at least, like you said, at the 30-40 range. And then I did a little bit of research. I thought this number was much lower, but this is a bit dated data. So in 2019, there were 25% of people had 31 or more apps. So when you add all the apps that you have, like your banking apps, your messaging apps, your email apps, like that doesn't leave a lot of room for retailer apps, right? And so then the question becomes, how do you stand out? And this yoga company is trying to do things that are available only in the app to make it sticky.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, it's a good point. Because the question becomes, why would I download a retailer's
Correct.
app?
Yeah. So why would you add it? So your app, as a retailer, you need to offer the consumer added value that they wouldn't get from your website. So whether it's a price checker in the store, or Target has this geolocation type technology where they knew what I was looking for. They can ping you when you're in the store to tell you where it is, or when there's a coupon available for it. Or I used them over the holiday period last year when I wasn't really excited about going into the store still, to see where was something located that I really needed so I could pop in and out. So I think, again, apps that offer you something different, whether it's payment options, so it's, cashless payment options at the storefront, or the coupons that are eligible that are in your wallet, or whether it's like the yoga club. There's another really very large athletic brand that has an amazing running club that's run through their app, that people download the app just for the running club component. So I think you need to offer something new and exciting and differentiated so that consumers download your app. Because like we just said, if the majority of people have less than 30 apps downloaded, not that they're using, downloaded on their phone, then you want to make sure that you're offering something cool enough, good enough, big enough that yours is going to be one of those.
So Suzy, 15% of all shopping in the US happens online. Next year will be 17%. By 2025, 24% of retail sales will happen online: computers, phones, tablets. And 10% of all retail sales will happen just on a mobile device. And pretty much all of that, mostly 90%-ish, is on a smartphone. In terms of online sales in the US by device, this year we estimate that the desktop and laptop will account for about 60%, the smartphone for about just over 30%, and then tablet with the remaining share pretty much. Over the next couple of years, desktop and laptop is going to tick down by 1 or 2 points, and smartphone is going to gain those points. People buying things on a tablet will also decrease in share somewhat as well. That's all we've got time for the first half. Time now for the halftime report. Suzy, your takeaways from the first half are?
So we say this every time, and I'm going to say it again because I think it's important. Consumers are looking for convenience, easy, efficient experience. I think as a retailer, you need to understand, are they coming to you because they want to be inspired? So you're going to show them something different or send them to your social media page, or are they coming to you because they have intention to purchase, in which case they want to get right to it? And then from the app perspective, I think it's really important to think about what you're actually adding in terms of value to create it as a sticky factor.
Time for a quick word from our sponsor, VTEX, and then we'll be right back with In Other News. Everyone's talking about digital transformation, but what does it mean in real life? Digital Insider is a new podcast series about the digitalization of retail, where business leaders, academics, and thinkers discuss how businesses are transforming and give their perspectives, practical advice, thought process, and lessons learned. Go to digitalinsider.com to learn more, or listen to it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. All right, folks, we are back today in other news. Delivering goods in 30 minutes. Ford and Walmart are teaming up to launch a robo-delivery service. And will Amazon's palm scanning technology catch on? Story 1. Kroger and Instacart are launching a new digital grocery service that promises to deliver goods in as little as 30 minutes across the US, called Kroger Delivery Now, notes our analyst Nina Getson. Jaewon Kang of the Wall Street Journal notes that Kroger tested 30-minute delivery about 2 years ago, but found it difficult to expand the service quickly with only its staffers. So the hope is that Instacart's technology and shoppers can pick and deliver grocery orders from Kroger's over 2,700 stores. Kroger's new express delivery service will have a $10 minimum and a $3 delivery fee. Their standard delivery service has a $35 minimum with a $4 delivery fee. Suzy, what do you think about this?
I think it's really interesting the way that they were so honest in the article around how delivery has profitability issues. And so they need to charge service fees. I thought it was really interesting that there was this nuance around now 30 minutes is immediate delivery versus just a quick delivery. And where does that leave companies like Joker who try and do it in 15 minutes? And I'm not surprised that they were talking around snacks and toiletries are what people are mostly buying, and that they can't do water and large orders in a 30-minute delivery because it's just too hard for them. What I, from a business perspective, found fascinating was that, and this I couldn't understand before, grocers partner with multiple delivery platforms to mitigate risk, because I guess it must be that hard to do 30-minute deliveries, and missing those windows is really bad for their brand. And so they need to partner with lots of different folks. And if they don't partner with the folks, then they just don't have the right infrastructure as a grocery store to do it themselves.
Yeah, the company Instacart was noting that nearly 20% of its customers are paying more for faster delivery. Story 2, Ford and Walmart are teaming up to launch a robo-delivery service in 3 US cities using autonomous test vehicles with Argo AI software, writes Andrew J. Hawkins of The Verge. Folks who order from Walmart online and live in specific parts of Miami, Austin, or DC may be eligible to have their items delivered by these Ford and Argo vehicles. Another autonomous delivery initiative from GM-backed Cruise has its own pilot project with Walmart in Arizona. Robotics company Neuro has these slim kind of golf cart sized vehicles delivering anything from Walmart goods to Domino's Pizza. You may have seen on their commercials. Suzy, what might the first iteration of robo delivery actually look like? It seems like there's a lot of tests going on, but what will we ever see and when?
So that's the thing. They've been doing this since 2018 in some shape. And so while I don't know that I agree that this is actually robotic delivery because it's a car, it's just that there isn't someone in the car. I do think it's interesting to see how we're trying to figure out the last mile delivery. I don't think it's a question around labor because you'll always need to have people to help. And I think I don't see this happening very quickly and widespread. I think it's hard to have economies of scale and it's not very operationalized. Like, who's going to come to the car to pick up the groceries if you are, not feeling well, for example?
Yeah, if you have mobility issues, if you're older, perhaps. You mentioned this is basically eliminating the need to have humans drive the car. However, this car will have human drivers. Let's have a human monitor behind the wheel and also another human or a bunch of humans at a remote command center as well. So there'll be no immediate cost savings for a few years, notes Mr. Hawkins of The Verge. Story 3. Amazon's palm scanning technology, Amazon One, will now be available to validate entry into Colorado's famous open-air Red Rocks Amphitheater venue in partnership with ticketing company AXS, notes James Vincent of The Verge. This is the first time the technology has been used outside of Amazon and its Whole Foods stores. Amazon expects to add the technology to more AXS ticketed venues in the future. Folks can sign up to Amazon One at stations in the Red Rocks venue. Suzy, will this palm scanning technology catch on?
I don't know if it'll take off because if we think about it as an identifying system, then I think it might take off because it's easier than pulling out your ID. But do I think it's going to take off from a ticketing perspective? No. As James noted, you already have the ticket on your phone. What this made me think of was Clear and how you use Clear to get through TSA PreCheck in an even faster way, right? So these types of technologies exist, whether it's the eye or whether it's your palm. I wonder if people are just a little bit more hesitant because it's Amazon.
Yes, that's fair. Mr. Vincent notes that Amazon can't make money from this, so it's about the shopping habits and hobbies data that it might get. And also, the question, how much more convenient is this? Amazon's been using this technology for a year now and says that tens of thousands of customers have signed up and used the service to enter and pay at participating Amazon stores. But I like your comparison to Clear. That's very interesting indeed. So we've got time for this episode. Thank you, Suzy, for hanging out.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, thank you so much to Victoria, who edits the show. Thanks to everyone listening in. We'll see you guys tomorrow, hopefully, for the Behind the Numbers Daily, the eMarketer podcast made possible by VTEX.
But I would like for you to know that I'm not competitive with other people. I'm just competitive with myself. If I know I'm not good at something, like pool, I would never agree to play. So this is what I mean by competitive with myself. I don't want to say I'm super competitive, but you already know what the answer has to be to the next question. The day I win that game, you guys, is the day I know I have done an amazing job. I'm going to win one of these. I know I'm going to win one of these one day. I'm just very competitive. I was telling my friends yesterday that we had just recorded the podcast and that I didn't win. And then I was saying, everybody's going to think I'm super competitive now. They're like, well, you are. Good thing we don't do blooper things.
We do.
No, we don't.
We have
No,
those.
we don't.
Yeah.
No, then you would put the Steeler. You wouldn't have even made me change the Steeler and the Patriot business.
I was doing that so that you had something that made sense for the episode, and then that will go at the end, 100%.
No, it won't. Okay,
We'll
ready?
see.
No, don't. I mean, everybody who knows me knows that I'm competitive and I don't know any sports team names. So,
Which is really ironic.
that
So competitive, but you don't care about sports, the most competitive thing ever.